Good evening, Brawlhalla fans, it's Raven, and today I'm going to be going over all true combos with the hammer. For the purpose of this video, until we get into character-specific combos, I am going to be using Tarot so that you guys can see that these combos are possible with the slowest character in the game, or at least 3 dexterity. Now, of course, some of this is kind of made irrelevant by the fact that we have relics in play now, but as of 1.9, these are the true hammer combos as we know them here in Brawlhalla. And just to prove this out, I'm going to be turning on a couple of things. We're going to go ahead and turn on damage and stun so that you guys can see all of the goodness. Now, before I get completely started, I want to give all the credit to Maximus Maxi for putting together the list that I'm building this off of. For those of you who do not know Maximus, he is one of the glorious members of the competitive community and posts his entire combo lists to the subreddit. So if you guys want to stay on top of all the tech, make sure you are following or subscribing to the subreddit for Brawlhalla on reddit.com. But for now, let's go ahead and check these out. Now, all hammer combos start from this move, commonly referred to as the stomp. It is the down quick motion, and this will be your combo starter for everything. Now, it's got a decent sized hitbox, so you can see it catches people off here on a pretty decent range, and some of these you need to be in slightly different position than others. But if you are a hammer player and you're not using this move, you certainly should, because it is fantastic. Now, I've practiced these combos a little bit, but not too much. So if I drop them occasionally, I apologize, but we are going to go ahead and get started. The first combo is stomp into down air. So you can actually stomp and then scoop someone up immediately, which is, while it doesn't do a lot of damage, is interesting because you will get set up for a vertical position, at which point you can follow up with one of these. So that's pretty cool. At a really low health, you might also have the opportunity for a knockout. Now, it doesn't do nearly as much damage as some of the other options, but it is interesting. You can see at red health it doesn't connect because we're popping Nash up too high, so it loses its true combo potential at later health. Next up, we've got Stomp into Side Air, and this is the combo that is going to be doing the most damage. So it's just that right there, and you can see between the Stomp and the follow-up combo, it does a total of 35.9 damage, which is invaluable for characters like Taros. At later levels of health, you can it does become a little bit harder to hit, just because they get popped further away from you, but it is something that is really good for securing knockouts on slower hammer players like Taros. Next up, and you guys have seen me do this by accident, is Stomp into Neutral Air. This is probably the most consistent. It does quite a bit of damage and is very nice for also kind of catching people who might be spamming dodge afterwards, so sometimes you can get this on people who are a little bit unawares. But a lot of the stomp options as far as to what you're going to do next is based on what is ever going to work best for you in that situation. Next up, and this only works at orange health and above, is the Stomp into Recovery. So you can stomp and actually go straight into a recovery move, which is really good because a lot of times if you've gotten to a rhythm of smacking people away, it's good to mix it up, because if they're not expecting to be put into that position again, you can get some interesting combinations off of it, especially here at red health, where although you could get a knockout here, of course, going in a recovery move is an interesting choice. Alright, so the next one, I'm probably, as I fall off while I'm looking at my list. The next one is going to be a little bit harder to illustrate on this map, so we are quickly going to move over to Twilight Grove. So the reason we've moved over to Twilight Grove is because you can actually use ledge canceling to continue combos in very specific situations. By ledge canceling, what I mean is doing a down animation as soon as you get to a ledge, which will cancel your jump and kind of pause you as soon as you get to the ledge. Now, the timing on this is kind of specific, but you can see how quickly I can get up here and move into this position. If you miss the timing, this is going to come out, which is not what you want. You want to kind of hit the button as you're coming into the middle of the ledge, and you're going to immediately pop up and do one of these. Now this takes a little bit of practice, and of course this is highly situational. So, here we go. Okay, so we can see that I managed to barely connect it. But you can see that it is a true combo. And I'm just really bad at doing this. So clearly I need to spend some more time in the training room. Wow, I'm really bad at these. Alright, next up these are some basic stomps into signatures that most Hammer characters have. Even Taros has one where you can stomp and immediately go into this move for Taros. And there is 0 timing required. Now, of course, this move on Taros isn't really that useful as far as getting a knockout is concerned. And you can see at later health ranges, it doesn't become as true. It becomes more spacing dependent, and there is a small gap there for people to run away. And this isn't one of the best options for Taros, so I wouldn't really recommend using this on Taros, because although it's a true combo, it only does 26 points of damage compared to this one, which does 38. So if you have to choose, you're almost always better doing a neutral air as opposed to using his signature move. But this option is here on Bodvar. Now again, it still does less damage than, say, it still does less damage than an air tilt or equivalent option, and you can see that it's not always 100% consistent, but again, for repositioning uses, it is useful to know. Now with Cassidy, you can stomp straight into Lasso, which is pretty decent damage all around, but what's nice about the Lasso is that it really closely positions people for good follow-ups at low health. And it's much more of a generous hitbox than Bodvar and Taros's, so you can combo this more consistently at later health levels without so much worrying about the stun time disappearing. So if you're having problems connecting this due to little gaps in the execution, you can tend to rely a little bit more on the Lasso until you get them down to red health, at which point it's just not going to reach anymore. Now, the stomp into Scarlet neutral sig, her neutral sig, which looks like this, is only possible at 4 dexterity or higher. So if you're messing around with relics and you drop below 3 dexterity, you will not be able to land this. But it's similar to all the other ones that we've seen so far. You just stomp and then you pop them into a signature. And his hammer combo into his neutral signature is actually one of the best in my opinion. And it just looks like this. And the timing on it is a little bit tight. You need to be pretty quick with coming out with the hammer toss, and again, it only works at certain spacing at later health levels. But what's nice about it is that if somebody's trying to move through it or around it, the hitbox here is pretty generous. So again, you can't do this at later health levels. You need to rely on going into, you know, a recovery or some other move. But at early health, this does a very significant amount of damage. So those, and at white health, it's much easier to hit than, say, going into a neutral. So we can see that out of all of the white health hammer combos, this one actually does the most damage. Alright, so this last combo is with Nash and only works at 5 dexterity if you have him reliced out. So don't think you can do this with vanilla Nash, but it is possible to combo his stomp into his side signature, which is this move right here. It just requires a little bit more precise timing than some of the other moves that we've seen so far, because you have to kind of connect it rather quickly, and as far as I can tell, it only works at early health levels. Now, although I've seen the GIF of this, I have not been able to land this yet myself, but for you Nash players out there, just know that Stomp does have these nice pseudo combos into a lot of Nash's other moves if you are playing at 5 dexterity. All the other hammer combos do remain true with Nash and should continue to be used, but the potential of him landing this into... There it is. That was pretty close. I think part of what it is that you just have to be fairly far away in order for that to connect. So just remember that it's partially spacing dependent, but this kind of combination can definitely catch opponents unawares, and that is exactly what you want to do. So for all of you who have watched this video, I apologize for my sloppy combo performance. If you want to ensure that all of these are hard and fast and true, do make sure to check out the combo compendium update list for Maximus Maxi on the subreddit, which I will be posting in the description below, so make sure to check that out. And so for all of you hammer players out there, I hope that you have fun stomping away, and I will see you next time for the next combo video, which will likely be, I think I'll end up doing Rocket Lance next, since that seems to be another weapon that a lot of newcomers have difficulty understanding. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Remember to hit the like button if you like this video, and I'll see you next time.